Please make sure they're on silent or vibrate, whatever we can do with that. March minutes went out in Jackie's newsletter. So anything we need to add to the minutes?
So, yep, Lou dropped off an addition that she wants to be added to. So it's just got some verbiage here that I will go ahead and add. It's got more detail about charity specifically and about 2 votes that were taken at the March meeting. And so I'm going to add that in and then send out a revised version.
Okay, so Colleen's going to, if we vote please, she's going to edit the minutes and then we'll resend them.
Yeah.
So I will say, can we motion to approve? Molly?
I motion to approve the minutes as Colleen will amend them.
Fantastic. Do I have a second? Excellent. Can you shout out your name too so we can get it on Colleen's record for the second? Shout out your name,
Lindsay.
please.
Oh, Lindsay. Sorry. I
Sorry.
can't tell if you were looking at me or not. I
I know.
apologize. It's like
Alternating exotropia. It's a
Thank
dream. Yes. So I've got a wonky eyeball. So I apologize.
Well,
If that confuses anyone else.
The glare off the glasses, I just couldn't.
Oh,
I
okay.
couldn't
Yeah,
even
sorry,
see your
Lindsay.
eyes.
So yeah, and anytime you're making a motion, shouting, seconding, all that stuff, can you shout out your name too so that Colleen can grab it for her minutes? That just helps everyone. And in case you can't tell, I'm looking at you. That would be helpful. All right. So we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Fantastic. Sometimes I forget that part. So glad I remember this time. On to committee reports. So we'll start, is Kathy here for Treasury?
Yes. So our balance in treasury as of March 31st is $9,781.60. And that includes deposits for new members and our speaker fee from license.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Kathy. And on that front, I know you've been looking for a new treasurer, and I think we have a candidate for that position. So we, if you guys want to chat, Angie is one of our newer members, and she is interested in taking over that treasury position. So thank you for serving as interim, and you guys can talk, and then we can bring that to a vote at a later date. All right. Charity, you're next up.
Keep knitting for Christ Child Society, which is the next one that's coming up in September. Continue knitting for MPS and Pathfinders. We'll keep collecting those. We won't be delivering now those again until this fall when cold weather comes, but keep knitting for those. If anybody has any other charity you'd like us to consider, please let us know. When you do that, please give us information about that charity so we know what it is that the group does. We do ask, since we're doing Pathfinders and MPS, kind of similar things for both of those, if you can let us know which group you want them to go to. That way, you don't have to sit there and say, oh, this one is MPS or this one is Pathfinders. We would rather that you tell us where you want your knitted items to go, since you guys are doing all the work. And that's it.
What are the items?
Scarves, hats, and mittens.
I have a question. Is there a particular pattern that you want us to use for the scarves? No? Make up whatever I want?
Any scarf pattern, hat pattern, mitten pattern.
Cowls are great for MPS too because they kind of stay on and going to a kid. And cowls are, I think, a little better than scarves almost because they just kind of stay on and
Okay,
a little easier.
thank you.
What is for the Christ Child? What do you need for that?
Baby items, sweaters, blankets or afghans, hats, booties. The sweaters, and not really newborn, but maybe 3 to 6, 3 to 9. Yes,
And they always say they really want the sweaters. 'Cause
yeah,
We
Sweaters are
they're buying a sweater for the layette. The layette has dozens and dozens of things in it.
yeah. Sweaters is what they really are looking for. And usually we have about 130 that we have for them, so they're usually quite happy. And again, that's in September. Any other questions?
Fantastic. Thank you, Charity. We appreciate it. All right. Education. Yeah, I know. Education kind of fell apart after COVID. So we're going to try to start that up again. If anyone is interested in kind of helping with education and has some connections on that front, that would be fantastic.
Can you give an idea of what that position holds?
Yeah, so people who have been here longer than I have probably know a little bit better, but my understanding is that it was like knitting groups and like teaching opportunities for groups of people. So like going to, yeah, go ahead.
Most recently, we did it at West Dallas through their rec department.
Do their rec program?
Right, and Karen Leonard was the chairman, so she would stay in touch with the rec department, and they would put it in their flyer, and they would tell us what they wanted and where we would be, and that's pretty much the way we did it.
Awesome.
Pathfinders is interested in us doing an educational opportunity for them.
I love that.
What was
Okay,
that?
so-
I couldn't hear.
Pathfinders is interested in us doing an educational opportunity for their kids.
Where?
At their location.
And where?
I want to say it's on Capitol Drive.
I think that's right. So it would be at their main.
I will get back to you
So-
if we can already set it up. It'll be in a couple.
Would you repeat all that, please? It's really hard to hear back here.
Yeah, I understand. So what Mary was saying was that Pathfinders was interested in us hosting an educational opportunity for the kids that they help, and that it would be at their main location.
Which is where?
Somewhere on Capitol Drive, we think. We can do the Googles and make that a little more well-known when it's a little more
I think
fleshed
it's in the
out.
River West area.
Oh,
Thank you. So, yeah, if we choose to do that, then we can get more details on that. But right now, I think Karen Lemmer is our education chair. And I don't think she's here. I think she's one of, I was gonna say, she's one of our snowbirds, isn't she? That goes to Florida in the cold, which, jealous. So if anyone is interested in like helping her, being a co-chair on that education department, that's kind of what they're in charge of, is setting up educational opportunities. That's as far as I know. So it doesn't necessarily have to be through the West Dallas Rec Department. It can be any connections that you have. Maybe it can be in a school. Maybe it can be in another part of the city. Maybe it can be, I don't know. I'm sure there's tons of opportunities. So if you are interested and passionate about educating others in the craft, then talk to us. All right, membership.
I just wanted to make a
Oh,
point.
yes, sorry, Molly.
As far as treasurer and other committee chairs, those are not, the committee chairs are not elected positions. So, you can appoint whoever you dream of, and, maybe they'll agree.
Well, yes, and I plan to, we're gonna discuss this actually in a little while in our new business section. So I'll be yakking at you more about that. So thank you, Molly. All right, membership.
We have 47 members here tonight and 8 guests.
Nice.
2 of which paid to become new members.
All right, that's fantastic. And welcome to all of our guests and new members. I'm so excited to have you here. And come and join us, come join a committee. I am half joking and half joking. Okay, thank you, membership program.
I'll stand up because I can't remember before. So
Use the mic.
We can just hand it to
You
you,
have
yeah.
a joke. You have kind of a soft note about you.
first time everybody's. All right, there is a list in the newsletter. I've tried to give a couple of meetings ahead of what's coming up, but next month is Janine from Tender Earth Rainbows Farm, and she has Icelandic sheep. She's coming to talk to us about her sheep, and she also has tours on her farm. They have a spring outing that she'll talk to us about if anybody's interested in attending. And they have a gift shop, so she'll be bringing stuff to sell. June, Molly is going to do a custom knitting program for us. And July, we have a patent attorney coming to talk to us about those of you that put patterns or want to put patterns on Ravelry. And also a photographer, I'm still working on, to show you once you knit that item and want to put it on Ravelry to take a picture of it and how that would work. And then in August, we're looking at doing a picnic. We have Susan from Fiber Arts willing to do a yarn dyeing program. but we'd like to do it outside because it's messy. We were thinking about doing a picnic and, sort of like the Christmas program, but have it out in a park, have a potluck. The Knitting Guild would buy the meat and everybody else would bring side dishes and just have a great time. I would be looking for a couple people that would be willing to help grill. That'd be my only thing that if you have a husband or boyfriend that's really, into that, that would be great.
Or you're really into that.
Or if you're
Sometimes women like grilled too.
Yes, I do that myself. Any questions on anything?
With the dyeing of the yarn, is there somebody in the guild that could spin it for you? Because I don't spin it.
She has yarn
Oh,
that
it's
she's
yarn,
gonna
it's
dye,
not
she's just gonna
okay.
show you how she does it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I did do show and tell, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting that, yes,
Will July also be our election of officers?
yes. It will. Anything else?
All right, thank you.
You have a really great program tonight.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm trying to get through our meeting. Events, anything from events? I know that we are just kind of shifting things around. Yes.
I just was wondering, like, if people have something they're really interested in or not interested in, we're just trying to get an idea, get some ideas for people, what they would like to
Can
do.
you give me your name? Sorry.
Kelly, DROIS.
So Kelly is our new volunteer for that position.
Awesome.
And hopefully we'll get her some help so that she doesn't have to do it all alone. And yeah, so if you have any ideas of things that you would be interested in doing or things that you absolutely loathe doing, talk to Kelly about that for any future events. All right, thank you. Publicity and newsletter. For the newsletter, Jackie couldn't make it tonight, but she's planning on stepping down from her newsletter duty. She says she'll be happy to help the person who's taking over, which I believe that we have found. So that is exciting. And yeah, so when we're talking a little bit later in our new business, I will read kind of what those duties entail, what she sent me, and that goes for all of the other committees as well. So yeah. Stitch and Pitch. Thank you.
Well, Cream City is kind of taken over it, so I don't know what to say.
Okay.
Cream City.
Alrighty, so if you want to sign up through Cream City's website, I think they're still taking orders.
I think so. Yep, it's still on their email.
All right, awesome.
Can I just note too that if you are looking to sign up on their website, I couldn't find it right away. It is under classes.
Okay, so Stitch and Pitch is under classes if you're looking to sign up on their website.
What date is it?
May 25th.
All right, and State Fair is also Karen, who is in Florida. I don't think there's much added to that since we decided the categories and decided to give out the awards for that. So not too much on that. All right, old business. On to our next subject. I wanted to finish up talking about the website discussion. I know Colleen sent some information about that in our newsletter. She sent out a little blurb of like pros, cons, how much it's going to cost. And I thought perhaps we could take a vote on that tonight with whether we want to spend that money and launch that. So any further discussion on that from last meeting that you guys would like to question, flesh out? Colleen, go
I
ahead.
can add just a few details. Can you hear me okay?
Not unless you stand up and look at them.
I was gonna say, I can bring
You
the
want to come up
microphone
here,
over.
Colleen?
Yeah,
I know
I
that
can
you're taking
come
notes, but.
No, that's okay. And my info is on here too, so I'm just gonna hold the whole thing up. All right.
Okay. Is that better?
Or better.
Okay, so we were talking about information for building a new website for the Guild. We had lots of positive feedback, a lot of ideas and thoughts and suggestions, and those went out in the article with the newsletter. We did talk also about things to consider when we're making this decision. So cost. Rachel Beal is the person who is the designer. She's the web designer who's going to do this. We talked about this, that she charges $25 per hour, estimating the startup to take about 40 hours, looking at a one-time cost of probably $1,000 per setup. She did ask that $500, if we vote at some point to move forward with the website, that she would ask for $500 at the start. and then the rest later as it gets up and running. We are looking for someone to head up the website committee. We'd like to form that new committee for website, throwing that out there for discussion. If anyone agrees, disagrees, thinks that they might be interested in chairing that committee, let us know. That would be great. Really, that would entail Rachel doing some training for how to add content, and she said it's very doable. And then just being the point person for getting that information to Rachel. So we're looking for someone for that. Second, someone had asked last meeting for references that we could look at in terms of Rachel's previous sites. And so I wanted to give you those. We'll add them into the newsletter, but one of them is www.rayela.com, and that's her personal website. And then another one is looks like artisanmade.com, www.artisanmade.com. And that's one she does a lot of work with. So we'll put that out in the newsletter, but if anyone wants to see, take a look through some work she's done, that's a good chance for that. Last time we talked about yearly domain cost. There's a yearly domain cost for this domain site, usually about under $20 per year, but then there's also a cost for the website that hosts us. And so the site that she recommends to do that is called Kinsta. They are really high quality, and one of the things that Rachel recommended for using that site is that if there's any troubles or issues, that they're very good about feedback and getting back to us about managing any difficulties with the website. They start at $35 per month. It can per month. So that is a cost that would add. So we have that initial cost that's only once, that $1,000, and then we probably have between $15 to $20 per year for the yearly domain cost, and then we'd have that about $35 per month. It may go up a little, up to maybe around $40, depending if our site grows really large, but it shouldn't get to be much more than that. So, that's about the cost of one membership per month. That would be an ongoing cost. So that's all the information I have. I just wanted to throw that out there. Any questions, any discussions, anything we're worried about? Yeah.
What kind of benefits do we get for having our own site?
Yes, excellent. So we talked about several benefits at the last meeting, but let me just run through a couple real quickly for you. So it's beneficial to have a central hub of information for anyone that is looking to find us. Right now, really, we have Facebook, but you kind of have to know about it. You have to know what the name of the group is to look on Facebook to find it. If someone was moving into the city, generally what they would do is they would Google it, right, and look for a website. Like, for example, the Madison Guild has a really detailed website. And so if you're looking in that area, you can go on their website and find out everything you need to know. We don't have that. So it would be a great way for people to find us. It would allow for online payment, if we want to add that, for dues and things like that. We could offer a calendar of events with links for signups. It would have a membership directory, which would be great, including a login for members so that they could be in their own private area of the site. And in that private area of the site, we can house the minutes, we can add content, we can add our links for Facebook and Instagram, and store any other content that we want.
Membership lists, having everyone's contact information.
Correct. Yes.
The Madison Guild also has paid advertisements for local stores and restaurants.
Yeah, so Jenna had noted that the Madison Guild also has sponsors on their website for local restaurants and things like that, and that's a way to actually add income to help offset with the monthly cost.
Yeah.
Is there a plan if we move with this to somehow track over the first year to make sure we're getting our return on investment? Is this driving, what's our clicks, what's our web traffic? Is it driving new members to us because they're able to find us, et cetera, et cetera?
And that's a great question for Rachel, if she would be the one tracking that, or if our website committee chair would be the one tracking that, if that information could come through Kinsta, well, where that.
I think you'll want to do a couple different things at minimum for membership. How did you hear about us? If it's now the website, that's one way we'd be able to do it in addition to just clicks and links. What's our pull through that's actually giving us dollars?
And we could add that into our membership
form as well. How did you hear about us?
Right, so she had noted that on our membership form, one of the questions we could add is, how did you hear about us? And then people could note if they heard about us through our website.
Does the platform tally the number of clicks on the site?
Usually, I mean, most websites are gonna have all of that. They're gonna aggregate that data for us, and we're gonna have access to that, yeah, which is great.
Will there be a way to, for the first year, make it a line item in the budget so that the money would be set aside for the first year and then see how it goes, then determine if it's something you want to continue?
I think that's a great
I
idea.
think that's a great idea to add that into the budget, for sure.
Because then
Again,
the money is
Set aside.
allotted for
Right.
that.
absolutely.
And my other suggestion would be it would be really nice if Rachel would come and do like a little presentation of what she can show us, because we can all look and, say, oh, that looks really cute. Someone else is like, well, that's pretty plain, so get some other ideas going.
That's a nice idea, and Lauren was saying too that we could just maybe Zoom her in
Yeah,
and
that'd be fine
have some
too.
back and forth. I can ask her if that's something that she'd be willing to do. Yeah.
Also, maybe having somebody from the Madison area knitting guild talk about how it has helped and what's the pros and
Get some
cons.
feedback from them. Sure. Yes.
I think everybody would be surprised. You're talking about a $35 charge per month. I think if you brought in one new member a month, that would pay for it. And
Oh,
absolutely.
if it-
Yep, that's what Colleen was saying, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we probably, especially with the rate we're growing. What were our numbers, Lauren? Can you?
It was, 48 members here tonight, is that right? And how many new?
Right. But I think even looking in this last year,
Well, I think
since
we'll get our return on investment. We just want to make sure going into it that we're tracking so we can really quantify and be able to say, by turning up the website, it's helped drive this
Yeah, we
additional
have that
membership.
data.
so we have the
And
data.
it's definitely paid for ourselves, and maybe if we were trying to determine in the future if we want to make more investments on the website,
Well,
Right.
is it worthwhile?
I think that the convenience of it is also going to be like a form of that return on investment. I know that, I'm a millennial, I don't carry cash and I don't use a checkbook. So dues without online payment are tough, because I have to dig out where I last put my checkbook from the last year.
Yeah.
Or I have to go to the ATM, which, who has time? So, I know that for convenience sake, that's a whole lot easier for definitely my generation, who is well known for never having cash or checks.
I mean, it's true. I actually think, I think not having online payment could be a deterrent that we don't even realize right now. So we could end up getting more members who either, don't use checkbooks or younger, or who just find it simpler. I mean, I use online payment too, and it is so much simpler. So, of course, we're gonna continue to encourage people who are interested to come to a meeting, see what you think. But I think that online payment's a great
You'd also have a
option.
link to YouTube, and I could see a meeting.
We would add
Actually,
all those
You
links,
guys are
for
coming up
sure.
with all the pros.
Yes.
Just to stay in the financial center a minute, the dues are $30, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
So what is our annual intake of revenue, around $1,400? 30 times 40.
We don't have our treasurer here.
Well, we have, 95 members now?
Yeah, our
So
membership is
95
going way
times
up.
30,
Our
Do we
membership is
have
increased.
95 paid members?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's,
like $2,700.
yeah, that's okay. Because does the $1,000 come out of operating funds, I mean, cash flow for the year, or are you planning to take it from the savings of $9,000?
Right, so that's a good question. That $1,000 is a startup cost. It's a one-time startup cost. But where we take it out of, my understanding is that we were gonna look at taking it from savings. Is that correct?
That for the startup, so that we can get this
And-
launched and going.
And then you could put some money back into that savings
Mhm.
every month if we have so many members.
Absolutely.
Because with all those members you got, you're gonna want expensive programs and you're gonna want the $9,000 there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Molly? is that-
Yes. I wanted to say that once we have a website, we have an easy opportunity to add merchandise so that people who weren't at the last retreat can get one of these Mickey Gator Milwaukee Knitting Guild bags or t-shirts or mugs or whatever we see to offer. And it would be an opportunity to raise money to cover the cost of the website.
Absolutely.
You're exactly right, and that's one of the things that we talked about with Rachel is adding merchandise is something, and again, online payment goes along with that, right? Make it easy, make it quick, for people to order those things, for sure.
Strong agree.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
So do we feel ready to take a vote on moving forward? How are we?
How are we feeling as a membership to maybe pull that trigger and make that $1,000 investment to get started up?
The 500 you need?
Well, it's a 500 down payment, but the whole
payment.
cost is 1,000
You need a motion.
for her work.
I guess I'd really like to see what she can, what, ask her certain questions that we don't know the answers to.
She should come here first.
Are you're feeling
I
like
feel
you would
like
like
we need to talk to her.
a chance to have question and answer with Rachel?
Absolutely. If she's selling something, she should do a presentation.
Sure.
She should, promote herself. You know,
I don't disagree. I just,
Yeah.
So maybe a motion for a demo for next month and a decision at that point?
Go ahead. Yeah, Molly, what were you saying too?
By the same token, it would be really difficult to operate with the committee of 45. We need to decide who is going to be our point person on this
We do.
and not have 15 different opinions about colors or backgrounds or.
yeah,
Well,
I agree with that too.
that would be
And that's
kind of
going into our
given
new
to it.
business today.
Seems like she comes first, and then comes appointment of the committee, and then comes the vote to.
And so one of the things I'd really like to ask is to think about if anyone is interested in doing that and would be willing to take that on, because it's just going to be a really important piece. It's going to be front loaded with work, and then it gets easier from there to maintain. So just knowing that going in, that it would be a bigger commitment up front, and then it gets simpler once it gets
Her
developed.
presentation would basically just be general information.
Yeah.
And then the committee we could always say that's gonna go to the committee makes decisions, but then everyone has to trust with the committee also.
Which is the way all the committees work,
Yeah.
right?
So we do need someone who would be, and we'll talk about this in new business too, because we're discussing committee stuff today. So we need someone who might be interested in kind of forwarding this, because right now Colleen has 18 jobs. So if anyone thinks that they could work with Rachel and, kind of get some of that content, you would obviously have help from Colleen to pass along the information that she has so far. You can have help from anyone that you ask for, and we'll do our best. But Colleen needs a little bit of a lighter load because she's also stuck behind the computer taking all of the notes, and
So it's just
Interesting
something
stuff.
to consider, yes.
So I haven't joined yet because I'm a guest, but if I join, which I probably am going to, I'd be more than happy to.
Yay!
That's amazing.
Awesome, yes, yay!
Can you tell me what your name is? I'll get you after the meeting. Okay. Thank you. Yes,
I
Molly.
move that because it's such a large workload, that whoever volunteers to take this position be comped their first year's membership dues.
Seconded.
Seconded, thanks, Molly.
I second. Yeah.
Thank you, Mary. Second first. All right. All in favor? Fantastic. I love it.
Okay, great. Well, then what I'll do is I'll get together,
Yes, yes.
I'll talk with you, and then we'll talk with Rachel as well about the possibility that she could zoom in and join us. And then hopefully, once we have a few more questions answered, we might be ready to take a vote. Okay? All right, thank you.
Excellent. All right.
On to new business. So first order of new business is I'm gonna probably upset people because I would like to make a change in our meeting/program order. I think in order to protect the time of our program presenters, it may be beneficial for us to switch our meeting with our program and do our program first, right at 6 o'clock, and our meeting later after the program is over. Usually programs run 45 minutes to an hour. So it's essentially the same amount of time that you're committing to being here, but that way we get our program front loaded and then the businessy meeting stuff at the end after our program doesn't have to sit around and wait for us to finish our
I
nonsense.
move that we have the program be first on the agenda.
Thank you.
I
Motion
second
by
it.
Can you tell me who's moving?
Carol.
Carol. And who was seconded?
And
Anne, thank you, Anne.
I have a question on that.
Mhm.
Would it be that way all the time? And I'm thinking specifically in cases like Christmas party that's more social and it's kind of an extended, it's not quote really a program. You may still want to do the meeting first and then kind of go into that
You're
social
right.
time, just
You're
for
right. And
exception periods, not for normal periods,
Yes.
but just something to
Okay.
think about.
so can we amend that motion
I know that when we have a guest, the guest be first on the agenda.
I love that. When we have a
Yes,
guest
thank
program, then we'll have them first. All right, seconded, same people, first and seconded, thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
I ticked off way fewer people than I thought I would. Excellent. Okay, strong start to new business. All right, second up in new business. I received an Instagram message from Kate St. George at Cream City Yarn. She has a friend coming in from Shetland who is already doing a program with Minocqua in July. And asked, hey, she asked if she could do something at Cream City Yarn, but they're hosting the La Vienna May event there at Cream City. So they said, would the guild like to do something? And
That's
so
June.
Jeanette's like,
La Vienna May is June.
I'm just going off of what Kate told me.
Okay, awesome.
So Jeanette told me that she'll be here in July. She's booked for Minocqua from the 17th through 20th, but she said I can do something with you guys if you would like, if you'd be interested, before or after those dates, and to get in touch with her since she'll be in the area anyway. So the options are she can do a class, but the class is only 18 to 20 people. And it's like $400 to $800 or 400 to 800 pounds, depending on how long we want it to be, whether it's like a 3-hour class or a full day class. But she also said that she can offer a talk about like Shetland belt knitting. And so she could offer like just a talk to us similar to what Mary did last month. And that would be 150 pounds for 75 people, which is a whole lot more accessible for more of our members and could really be interesting because it's all Shetland knitting, it's all Fair Isle stuff. So if you are interested in that, can we have a brief discussion about what our membership thinks about that before I talk to Jeanette again? And Mary and I have kind of been discussing this too. Mary, that I left out.
No, we don't have a location yet. I'm working on to see if it would be here if they're available. So we try to keep it here. But if it's not, we'll find a location.
I would say we probably need to find a location, because if it's popular and you got 75 people, we have 50 here tonight, and it's pretty tight.
We can take out the tables.
So
We're not gonna worry about that yet.
Yeah. This room seats up to 125, so.
comfortably.
Yeah.
Let's just think about that. We have time, so let's not lock ourselves in.
Okay. Any other thoughts on this? Yes.
Do you know when she is coming to the States?
Yes. So that's July 17th through 20th is when she's going to be with Minocqua. So she said before or after, so probably within that same week. So maybe a day or two
So it
before.
would be a
day
special
or two
gathering
after.
outside the club meeting.
Sorry?
It would be a special gathering outside the club.
Yes, that's
It's like a
correct.
special event.
Yes, it'd be a special talk. Which is why we're not sure if we have the room booked or not. So. Any other discussion, thoughts, concerns?
So can we kind of get a show of hands if you're interested, so that we would proceed and go forward and see what it was? Because if not enough people are interested,
Yeah, then we won't.
and then it's not worth it.
Looks like we got a pretty solid bunch of folks who might be interested.
And I would suggest if we move along with it, maybe try to publicize it. I understand it's a
Oh,
guild,
yeah.
but like,
Absolutely.
because I think that could draw in some knitters, maybe not part of the guild.
Yeah,
Bring
absolutely.
in-
It'd be an event hosted by us.
Yes.
We would have to make sure that we. Sorry.
That would be a good thing for the website.
Yes.
When-
It would be a good thing for the website. You're
For the
right.
website, yeah.
So hopefully we have our website kind of up and going by then. We'll see. Okay, so fantastic. Anything else we need to discuss on that? Yes.
So if this speaker comes and it's a special event, is there a charge? And if there's a charge, is it different for members versus non-members?
So
There's no charge.
yeah, I don't think we had planned to have a charge. We can discuss that as treasury if we would like, but it seems like a lot of, Mary and I were kind of talking about this with event stuff. It seems like a lot of extra.
We're really not set up for it right now. I mean, we could talk about non-members paying something at the door maybe, but.
Or taking a donation maybe.
Right. We would just take it out of my program budget.
Yeah.
Last time we had a special event, the fee included membership. For the non-member rate included a membership.
Okay.
So if we charged $30 for non-members and zero for members, basically what we've done is we've recruited a bunch of new members.
Sure. So that's something to consider. I think that it might, and we'll talk about this further if we need to, but I think that that might depend whether or not we charge, whether we have mobile pay by then. So, because I think that a bunch of checks and cash and stuff coming in at an event might be a little bit fuzzy. So we can talk about it more for sure. But I like that idea as a general idea. So we'll discuss it further. But it seems like we have some good interest in this, so I will try to reach out to Jeanette, or Mary and I will reach out to her and say that we would be interested. And we'll get a firm date and time and place and such. All right. We had a board meeting 2 weeks ago. There is a change to the standing rules regarding our dues, which is something that board can decide just internally without taking a whole vote. Bylaws need the whole agreement of the group. Standing rules do not. So we decided that because we have folks that might join halfway through the year, and I know we've kind of been doing this already, but it wasn't in the rules, that if we have new members joining from anywhere from March through August, that they are going to get charged $15 dues rather than the entire year of $30 dues. If you join anytime from September through February, then it's that full $30 dues. And that was just a reminder. And a quick reminder that if you're not a paid member, that you don't get a vote. So apologies for those who are like, oh, I'm just gonna, join in March, so I don't have to pay my whole $30 dues, which $30 totally reasonable. I never have a problem with it. But if you're not a member from September through March, you're coming to meetings, then sorry, you don't get a vote. So make sure that you are a paid member if you would like to vote on our stuff. All right. Committees. I said we were going to talk a lot about committees that came up in our board meeting. Committee expansion. We are looking to have less pressure and stress on the chairs of our committees, because right now we have a lot of committee chairs and not a lot of committees. So we have talked about looking through our membership forms for when you joined. We always ask what you're interested in doing, what committees you may be interested in, and we're going to pester a bunch of people and say, hey, would you still be interested in joining that committee? If you would like to volunteer instead of being voluntold, then please talk to your local committee chair. Because we would like to have our committee chairs be a little less stressed and be able to kind of offload some of their duties. Yes.
Is there a resource somewhere that describes what each committee is?
Yes.
And the responsibilities that people are looking for?
Yes, and it is our meeting tonight. So, yes. So we're going to hear from our committee chairs tonight, and we're going to talk about what the expectations of members of that committee they're looking for. So like, what are they needing help with? What are they looking to have members do for them, with them? And yes, so we're going to talk about that today.
Do you, Lauren?
Yes, Carol.
Don't you think we should, if we're gonna have a long committee discussion, don't you think we should have our program first? I mean, this is gonna be.
We can.
Yeah, we can absolutely, I can table this and keep the meeting open, and we can do our.
We could talk till 10 o'clock about this.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, but I just think that.
No, I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. All right, so can I get a motion to table our business meeting in lieu of our program?
Can I actually make a suggestion?
Sorry. Yes.
If you have all this information, maybe send it out so we can be prepared for a conversation on it next week. I know this would be great for a website, but we're not there yet. But if you have, because like even for myself, I don't even really know what all the committees are.
Okay.
Right.
So it might be good just to send out so we're all prepared.
Okay.
This is the list of committees, and then we can maybe have a conversation about it next time.
Okay, so do we kind of feel like that's a good idea? Okay, so we can put this in the newsletter for next month. Please read your newsletter, so that we can have a description of each board. Yes, Mary. Oh, sorry, not Mary. Lou, sorry.
I believe a description is in the bylaws of all the committees.
I think you're correct.
And everybody should have access to the bylaws.
Well, I think that usually we make copies of the bylaws and hand them to new members. And I think that when
I've never gotten one of those.
Yeah, I know that when I joined, I did not receive any bylaws either. So I think that some members may not have them, and they're not in an easily accessible place. If we want to
pick up and paste in, cut and paste in minutes.
Yeah, so I think that I might put them in the Facebook group, so that they're easily accessible for those who are in the Facebook group. And
I can add them as an article. I can add them as a separate article and we'll attach
Yeah, like
them
as
in
an
the next month's
attachment when
newsletter
our
so
minutes,
that you
or when
can
our
see it
newsletter comes
specifically.
out. Sorry, yes.
I was just gonna, we should.
Sorry. Okay.
We should
Mary,
probably,
in the back.
if we table this, the amendment that's on the floor right now. Until next meeting, that's what I would say.
Okay.
That way it closes it out.
Okay. So we're still got some discussion. Sorry, Mary. But
I just have a quick FYI. When you join, I send you a welcome letter, and I also attach the bylaws, the standing rules.
I never got that when I joined. I don't know about anybody else.
Okay.
So I would say, I think there's a gap in new members that have not gotten that.
Yep.
Okay, I never got it either.
So that may have been before you took over, or it may have gotten lost in the shuffle. Things happen, life happens. I think we all understand that.
Angie, I kind of recollect that you might have, that was when I was just taking over.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So
Lou.
Rather than put it on Facebook, I think maybe it could be put in the newsletter. Jackie could include it as an attachment.
Yes, that's what Colleen mentioned might be a better idea. So, yes, thank you.
So I would like to table the amendment on the floor until next week.
And who's that?
All right. Thank you. And second, Molly, are you seconding? Fantastic.
I had one more point of discussion.
Yes.
I would like to also oppose putting on Facebook because while we have less than 75 paid members, we have over 900 members on our Facebook page. That is way too public.
Yeah, you gotta pay.
Sure.
And with all those things about Justin Bieber dying on there.
Yeah, we're gonna try to fix that. We'll get that tied up. It'll be okay. Yeah, we're trying to get that a little bit better. Okay, so thank you. Molly seconds the motion to table the meeting until after our programs, the rest of the meeting until after our programs. So I will wrap it up, shut my mouth, and Mary can introduce our guest.
Okay, just one more quick reminder to put your phones on silent. So I am very happy to introduce Wade, the alpaca guy. This is so cool. I think most of you know that. I'm not sure you even needed an introduction. I think everybody here practically knows you. No? Okay, well, come up and introduce yourself. I know. He's really funny. He likes wine.
So he's a friend
I asked
already.
if we could bring wine in tonight. I saw that she says, well, we're meeting at Wauwatosa Library. Oh. Next time.
I'm available after.
Let's just hang out afterwards. All good.
Well, thank you, but I want to thank Lauren, our president. Congratulations. I didn't know that when I met you. So Lauren found me at the State Fair. So how many of you, maybe we met at the Wisconsin State Fair, at the Alpaca tent?
Oh, yeah.
Been there? Okay, I've been there. I think we've had an Alpaca educational tent for the last 4 years, 3 or 4 years now. So lots of fun. And Lauren and several of her cohorts. Who was that? Okay, and who else? The three of them.
Yeah,
Okay,
it was
great.
the three of
Nice
us.
to see you all again.
You as well.
Kind of talked with me and said, would you mind coming and speaking at one of our events? And I said, absolutely. I've spoken at several other knitting guilds in upper Wisconsin. So the farm that I used to help run and raise and start was London Dairy Alpacas. I don't know if you've been there for an alpaca tour or gotten some of their yarn, but that's all homegrown fiber. I'm going up there for shearing day in a couple weeks, and I get to go through the fleece and I hand sort out all the fleece into the prime areas and select things for the farm to go into their yarn, baby grade yarn. And then everything else that they use for the fiber. But tonight, I was asked maybe to just speak on maybe the uniqueness of alpaca fiber. So how many of you are from a farm? How many of you have alpacas? One farm?
Llamas.
Llamas? Okay, no sheep background? Y'all city folk?
Horses and horses and llamas.
Oh, of course, we got some horse girls in here. All right, how many of you, if I can ask, have you used alpaca yarn at all yet? Oh, so you're all familiar with that? Okay, to some degree? Okay. Let me see if I can pop this open. Sliding off here. And it's on great from the beginning. Let's see, slideshow from the beginning. Okay, so I've been very fortunate. I've been in the alpaca industry really long. I started when I was 27.
That's a handheld microphone if you want one.
It is.
Yes.
They're not going to get away from me. So I was very fortunate. I got to start with alpacas when I was just 27. So starting out back then, we took our alpacas to llama shows because we didn't have any other ability to show or anything or get any kind of feedback. And so, I mean, I remember my first show, we washed that alpaca up with soap and water. It was like this white umbrella, like just Q-tip. She was cute. I got first. And so, but that led to other things in the farm, growing alpacas. And then, you know, we had shearing day. And then, well, what do we do with this stuff? That's what got me into trying to find out what to do with natural fibers, period. You know, and that got me involved with the llama industry, some sheep folks and friends that have that natural fiber as well. But, you know, I really concentrated, and now I'm very fortunate. I'm considered one of the world's most senior authorities on alpacas. So I have my own business, The Alpaca Guy. I design and create alpaca fiber clothing and what I consider more highly sellable alpaca items. And that goal to create that business was to help my fellow alpaca farms, that they had enough yarn from their animals to make only so much. But, you know, how do you get, you know, high-end professional socks done or hats and things like that to resell in their stores to help afford their animals? So that's how I started the business. And I do a very large wholesale, you know, product. So I'm not out with the public too often that I sell. I do a couple markets around Milwaukee, and that's about it. Yes, I did design a bulky alpaca yarn, and you can see that later. But I know since you're all knitters. So, but I thought it would be important for you to understand why, like, I'm glad that you used alpaca, but what was their main reason for using it? Just throw out some comments. Soft. Warm. Cheaper than cashmere, about the only thing cheaper than cashmere. Well, everything's cheaper than cashmere, but not by much, I want to say, yeah.
Drapey. Yes.
A good point. Drapey, actually, yeah, very true. So,
Non-allergenic.
oh, I love you. Hypoallergenic. It's great. Those are all definitely characteristics that I think about right away with alpaca. To me, it all stems back also to where these alpacas come from. So guesses? Guesses where they're from? Yeah, most of them. Yeah, and they're not, there's about 75 to 80% from what I've been told of alpacas in the world that are, the concentration are still in Peru. So they're from camels though. Did you know that? They're camelids. They're not from sheep. And do you know where in the world camels first originated from?
The Americas.
Guess where? No, our Americas. Our America.
Yeah.
Right here in the United States.
North America.
Yeah, camels, they found the oldest bones apparently of prehistoric camels, like in Kansas.
That's fascinating.
Really? Yes. And then they went all the way up across the straits and then down. Talk about a long journey. I think the arc would have been a lot better. But yeah, so the camels went over there and they broke up into 4 different types of camelids. So what are the other camelids that you are aware of? Llamas, right? Cousins to alpacas. So llamas and alpacas. very good, vicuñas and guanacos. So those are the 4 camelid species, and all their fiber is actually quite valuable. Great job. And keep in mind this picture. This is a picture that I took up in the Peruvian highlands on a trip. I give an adventure vacation once a year throughout Peru as a cultural trip and tour. And this was a few years ago, and it was such a great sight seeing all these beautiful little white alpacas up in their natural grazing lands. But sparse. Take a look at that. And those grasses, they're spiky. It's not very lush. So in Peru, they are a great part, an integral part of their culture. So you'll definitely see kids with alpacas or even baby sheep saying they're a baby alpaca for you to give them a soy or for a picture. Of course, do so. This picture, though, I took for another purpose, to teach people about different types of genetic faults. Does anyone see a genetic fault on these animals?
Ears.
Yeah, where do the ears go? They're called, anybody know what they're called?
Earless alpacas?
Earless alpacas is good. Elf alpacas. They're called gopher ear. Yeah, so
Oh, that makes sense.
So it's a little gopher ear, highly genetically bad trait. So I've rarely seen it, so I had to pay 2 soles to get the picture for education. So there they work, their alpaca. They even have their alpaca right here for just sitting here. It's just so nice, just sitting there, and she's hand spinning. This is some roadside markets. So the alpaca's been around in their culture for ages. Have you heard of like Incan folklore? Yeah, so they call the gold of the Andes is the alpaca fiber. In Incan times, they used it for trade, monetary value. The alpacas were domesticated back then by pre-Incan societies. The Incans just didn't do it. It was pre-Incan societies already knew that this animal was so special and had all these unique properties in the fiber. So in Peru, they have a huge textile industry, making incredible fabrics. And of course, then they've got a plethora of people there that do lots of knitting. And I think some of the most unique items are hand knit, definitely. Depending on your knit, you can increase that flexibility, thickness. You've got so many variables because the item, as you pointed out, alpaca, it doesn't have a lot of stretch and give on its own. Not like a merino sheep, product that has lots of little crimpy fibers and so many that helps with that elasticity. Alpaca, I think after it gets processed, is really somewhat flat. Definitely. So we have to add some things to it or be inventive in how we're using it in the processing. Keeping this in mind with just alpaca, I thought this slide I added today might make you guys think of natural fibers in an even higher light. This we use on our farm tours as we talk about different things. Like this is all products made out there and what they're made out of. So 60-some% on the top there are made from our synthetics. So, but yeah, so our acrylic yarns. Who's knitting with acrylic right now? I'd say 90% of you, or at least 65. So yeah, it's good. It's cheap. It has loft. It's soft. There's nothing wrong with it, but we don't know yet, how much that might affect us in the future as a human society of having that much petroleum always covering us. So we'll find out, I'm sure, in some study. So I just thought it was interesting that it's that high before we get to the #1 natural clothing product fiber, cotton, right? And then, there's a lot of controversy around cotton too, the pesticides and all of that stuff. Well, you can't have it all, right? It is what it is, and I hope that we'll, strive for better future products. Then we get to cellulose fiber. What's a cellulose fiber? I know you know. Yeah, yeah, rayon bamboo. I love rayon bamboo. It's got a great feel to it. It lasts forever. I've blended rayon bamboo with alpaca to add some maybe color to it or something. So. Would what?
Linen.
Yeah, yes, of course. Yep, it's a plant. So let's see. We've got, what's the other common cellulose?
Hemp?
Oh, it was right there. Did you see it?
Flax.
Flax. Tencel.
Oh, tencel.
Yeah, tencel, which is also great. And then now we get down to wool. Wool is only 1.5. Someone said something about, wool marketing. Is wool great, or is it just the marketing? But it's only 1.5. I thought that was going to be bigger too. And then all the other cashmere, alpaca, mohair is only at 0.1%. So alpaca, the point is alpaca or any of those natural fibers are really special. And that really kind of, I think, brings it home. This is a picture I got in Peru, and it talked about vicuñas, guanacos, alpacas, and llamas, and just their different types of fibers. But here, I liked how they had this chart because they all have them sectioned off, as a usable amount. They have different weights here, how much, and how many of them. So not a lot of us, I think, if you were in the alpaca industry, you probably weren't going to blend llama or even knew that llama fiber could be used. But llama fiber, there's a lot of it that can be used, and they should be shorn every year too. So there's some Surrey llamas that have very silky, soft fiber, but there are then those Argentinian llamas, the real thick, dense ones that are coarse as a horse. So maybe something for a rug or a mat or fill in for your boots. That still works. Here in the United States and also in Europe, like in Germany, they started bringing alpacas in the 80s. So we're around 84. More of Europe was a few years after that, but a couple of them in 86 and 88. But we really started importing alpacas in the 80s and into the 90s. And they were new, they're different, these long-necked, strange animals. And that's kind of where I started in 87. No, I was started in the 90s. But they were still relatively new. No one knew what an alpaca was. We didn't know much about them either. So we had to learn pretty much hard knocks on the farm, how to take care of them. We learned with our vet. So it was a real adventurous, fun time. And then learning about the fiber. I'm still learning about the fiber. I teach the fiber all the time, but I don't know everything about it yet. It's a real mystery fleece. So with alpacas in general, you might wonder, how long does it take to have a baby? Almost a year. So about 11 and a half months, for that baby to get cooked and coming on out. So you don't get a lot of quick progression in your herd, that you see right away. It takes a whole year for you to see if that breeding match was worth it or not. And just because you've done that match once doesn't mean it's going to be the same every time. You could have 4 offspring from the same mating pair, and one will be most likely a little higher quality, 2 in the middle of the road, and 1 typically lower. So unless you start off with breeding pairs of equal quality in general, that those same level will be obtained. Shearing, one of the large things that I saw in the industry as it really took wing and flew with the alpacas was that lots of people liked the alpacas because they were a great size, that they weren't intimidated by them, and I would say in our industry yet, about 75% of alpaca owners are women owned. and they run the ranches, they bought the alpacas, they make the decisions, because they can do 100%. They feel very comfortable, in doing so. And I think also, they like the textile aspect to it. Whether they were brought up knitting or hand-me-down from grandmas in some kind of teaching, I don't know why, but definitely the industry is more heavily women-owned and run. So why aren't alpacas the same as llamas? What else? What do you know as an observer out there? This is the number one question at State Fair.
Alpacas are fluffier.
Well, okay, we'll go with that for right now. We're gonna use.
I hear the slander that llamas are meaner, but that's wrong, and llamas are giant giraffe dogs and adorable, and everyone needs one.
That's an interesting concept.
My parents have llamas and they're precious.
No, and I have judged many llamas and I've been to many llama farms too. I think llamas actually can be so well trained, but it is, and alpacas, you could have some calm alpacas on one farm and they're nervous Nellies on another and scared as heck.
I spun alpaca and I spun llama. Llama has the undercoat and the top coat, and it's much coarser. It's not, it's totally different.
It's a larger animal. So typically, the pore size is bigger. So you're gonna have a coarser, thicker hair. Make sense? Even when I judge alpacas, when I see a larger alpaca, I am already perceiving, oh, I'm gonna check its fineness. All right, it's probably gonna be a regular grade or just regular feel, not, ooh, that silky softness that, a true alpaca kind of fiber gives. So but it's not their fault. Llamas are bred for beast of burden. It goes way back to the Incan societies and pre-Incan societies. They were their semi-trailers, their meat source. They ate alpacas too. They still eat alpacas and llamas there. So they brought the fruits and vegetables from the plains and the jungle to the highland cities. So that's why I say they're ancient time semi. So they had to be bigger, physically bigger, larger. So mainly the size, and again, the fiber content. So here are those cute vicunias. So anybody want to guess what is so unique and special about vicunia besides their name is so cool? And kind of look at them all too. They all look identical, don't they? They are smaller. They're like a deer. Well, if you sheared an alpaca when they look naked, they look like a deer too. But they're even more slight. So they're smaller. Finer, very good. You're following me. Someone's listening. I got two people. So these are some of the finest fibered animals on earth. Anybody know what the fiber is tied with? The other finest animal that I'm told, and I would not want to collect it. Yeah, I knew this group would know it.
What is it?
Muskox. The under hair of the muskox. Now, how do you go collect it? I don't know. You lay on the ground, pray, don't step on me. Seriously, it has to, I think, slop off. I don't know. So I've never seen one. I've never been to Mongolia, I guess, where they are. So the vicuña is the closest physical relative to the alpaca. So it makes sense of why the alpaca has so many great properties, in its fleece, and it can be quite fine too. I've evaluated some alpaca fiber to be as fine, 12, 13 micron, as the vicuña typically is. But alpaca fiber is usually a bit denser, thicker, fuller. You get a good yield, on some good breeding stock. And there's some pet hobbyist alpacas that only get, maybe a pound or two of fiber too. And it might be soft and fine, but on a breeding program, they should be getting, anywhere from 6 to 8 easy pounds off an alpaca. Oh, what did I hit? There we go. So, okay. Okay, I guess I'm going there. All right. So some different things that you see with alpaca fiber. Now this is getting more technical, which is great, which is what I love. Why is it making it so different? Scale heights. Do you know what scale heights are? On fiber. When a fiber it gets extruded out of your pore of your skin, it has so much protein around it, it shoves it out. And then behind it, it's kind of like another piece that's around it that gets pushed out. So it's kind of extruded out, and then there's a segment there of that height, and that's the scale height. I think I got a picture here coming up. Yeah, so can you see, this is being pushed up, and then this other sleeve around it gets pushed out on top of it. So that distance right there is the scale height of these fibers. And here they compare it with alpaca, wool, and the other alpaca, Surrey alpaca. So do you see how wool, it's a bit more jagged? You know, that's because wool has lots of scales, but the scale height is twice as tall as regular alpaca. It's a different animal. It's a sheep breed, versus another different species. So, it is what it is, but it does make a difference for several things. What do you think those scale heights do on natural fibers in a positive way? Felt. All right, sheep wool can felt like that, right? That's what's happening. Those scale heights are all connecting and felting. And, so now, have you heard of superwashed wool?
Yes.
Do you know what it is? Yes, no? Any guesses?
Chemically treated, right?
Yeah, it is. It's chemically treated to help basically acid wash tips down, so it doesn't felt in your wash. It's too bad it's chemical, but it is. I thought it's a brilliant move. Because wool is warm. It's got some good dexterity. It's a good product. So that's what that means and how they got that way. So alpaca, though, naturally is a much smoother fiber. So when you have the same thickness of natural hairs, the alpaca will always feel several microns even lower because it doesn't have those scale heights. So, and it won't felt as quickly. It can felt. Certainly can. But then you get down to, you see how vicuña is done? The longer sheaths and even a flatter scale. And then they have the Surrey alpaca fiber. So did you know there were two types of alpacas? Okay, there's the fluffy teddy bear ones, and then there's other ones that are more dreadlocky. And I'll pass this around. So Vanna, would you mind? This is a prototype purse. It just needs a top on it. I haven't finished it, but so this is Surrey natural. It's a pelt on the front there for Surrey. And for those of you that haven't felt natural alpaca, other fiber, because I want you to feel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh no, just set that down. They can pass it around. Here's some. I'm passing these teddy bears around so you can feel other alpaca. Okay, now I know I have 8 out here in the crowd, and they better be coming back. So put 4 on this side, 4 on that side. I've done this before. So that scale height is really an important mechanism of highlighting alpaca, why it feels so good. This, and it is definitely a difference between sheep fiber.
Pass yours back that way, so in this room.
So if you're worried about felting, how do you wash your natural fiber items that you knit?
I don't.
I don't.
I air them.
You put it on the porch, let it air dry. That is a great thing to do by hand. But what product do you use?
Wool wash.
You blend, you what?
You blend it.
Okay.
The wool wash.
A wool wash, okay, I haven't heard that. Yeah, I've had very good luck with Dawn dish detergent. It's well known in my industry with alpaca fiber, couple drops of Dawn. Yeah, sometimes the simplest things. Yeah, I think.
Okay, best practice.
Yep. You can't molest the teddy bears for more than what, 10 seconds? All right. Someone said before that alpaca is warm. So why? Why do you think? Is it warmer than other things? Is it same?
Warmer than wool.
Okay, we have someone, Molly's saying that it has hollow fibers. So so what? So you think it's more insulative because of that?
Air pockets will do that. So if there's air in the fiber core, it'll.
Well, you guys are not basic, I'll tell you. I feel that's just a portion. It is what is educated out there, though, in, I think, alpaca common knowledge, but we don't have a scientific study to really prove that. Things, though, add up and make sense to go along that route, because here is a depiction of some fibers, thick fiber way over to the left. It's like a guard hair. And a true guard is hollow. So there's air all the way through it. But that's going to be really tricky. You're not going to use that for any kind of knitting or product. And then you go down, it has B, C, D, and E. As fibers get thinner or smaller, which would be softer and smoother to us, right? They still find with alpaca some deviated areas of fragmented air pockets, finer than any other fiber that is as fine. So that is one point of why I say I believe in that halfway. The other point, there are studies showing tensile strength. So they take fibers and they see how many pKa's it is to pull them apart. So alpaca is one of the darn toughest natural fibers. I think it's the protein chain. So I think because of that, like a house made out of bricks instead of wood, it's that much more insulative, well, hopefully. Sort of if you have a house of bricks. So that with that coupled degree of those air pockets are really helping bring on that insulative power that alpaca really does give. But alpaca doesn't just keep you warm, does it? For those of you that have worn it, it really, I don't know how, but it kind of self-regulates. Like I brought some sport socks I designed. I wear them at 80-some degree weather for jogging. They feel wonderful. Yeah, my feet are still sweaty. They're gonna sweat in anything at that temperature and with activity, but my feet are healthy and they feel good because of other things. Air pockets, cashmere fineness, okay. Oh, this, just one point on this slide I didn't mention was maybe the similarity of that fineness, like with other natural fibers with air pockets, like to cashmere, is also our gold standard for quality, softness to touch. But what isn't great about cashmere? Yeah, the tensile strength, really it's too bad, isn't it? Because you go and you buy beautiful sweater or something like that, and you're getting pills in the first time you wear it. I don't know why they just don't blend it more with maybe some synthetic fibers to give it more durability and keep the softness to touch. So yeah, the durability I just mentioned. How about the tests? Yep, where's like iron? Yep, protein chains. And okay, I was going down there and my next slide is not my next chain of thought, but I'm gonna go to it and I'll catch up to my chain of thought when it gets there. The other great thing is the color variation of natural blends with alpaca too. Here natural artists have such a plethora of natural colors to blend with. You don't have to dye, but you certainly can. These all natural colors, they're gonna be that way their whole life. They're not gonna fade. Some darker ones that might have white fibers that come in later in life, that might be a little more gray, but that natural color selection, even in sheep, is just a few colors. Where we have, fawns and red browns and pure black and kind of, I call it, it's not dirty black, but it's bay black. It's kind of a smoky black, yeah, which is very pretty. One of my favorites is that reddish brown. And a fawn is also very captivating. So natural or dyed, there's lots of options. And I'm excited to hear about your dyeing, park party that you're gonna have this summer. I think that's gonna be a lot of fun. If you've not dyed before, I'm sure she's gonna show you probably 3 different ways to dye, not just one, because there's multiple ways to dye. And they're not all that difficult. Time the art. I do have a morbid side of me, but not that bad. So like this rug over here is all natural. And let me tell you, alpaca, you can just take a rug out and just hose it off if you've got something on it. I've had, who has cats? Okay, so you know where I'm going, right? Yep. So just take it outside with a hose and everything washes right off. So especially all that food coloring in their food that they get. So where's like iron? Love it. I'll probably have it for my whole life, that rug. So here, this lady up front here mentioned non-allergenic. And that's a huge property that's beneficial to alpaca. So alpacas, again, they're from camels. They don't have oil glands. So did you feel any oil residue off those alpacas, those bears? That was the point of that too. It's not just that they're soft and fluffy and cute. That property of it not being non-allergenic is really important because we have lots of people with more sensitive skin, or we just have more people that are just speaking up nowadays, one or the other. It's unfortunate with sheep fiber products. It depends on the processing. It depends all on the processing on how hot they can get that water to take out that lanolin in the processing stage. So it seems that no matter how much they do, there's still always some residual oil left. Now that coming onto our skin, it either irritates us, from the actual oil itself in our body chemistry, more of a rash, or it just itches, because it could just be microbes that are trapped in that oil. Nothing to do with your body chemistry reacting, but there could be microbes still in that very, seductive oil for bacteria, whatever it is. I've never had a problem with either, but I know lots of people have come to my farm or bought products from me that have been sensitive, and they've been great with alpaca. So alpaca does, though, have a wax. There is a wax substance sometimes that comes out through the pores, but it's so scant, it's basically, it's gone right away. And of course, wax is neutral. Another great property is my second bullet point. People relate it as wicking away moisture. But we found, do you remember back, what was the big oil spill in the Gulf? The Valdez oil spill. Yes, they did a nationwide call for all natural fibers from hair cutting places to get hair from our fiber industry. And they made booms. So you know what a boom is? Basically, it's a big body pillow, long, and they put those in the water to help soak up oil, especially along the coastlines. And they found these darn alpaca booms were doing an amazing job. And they were like, why? why is that fiber doing so much better than, you know, our hair or another animal's hair? Well, it theorized back to that picture I had before of how cylindrical the alpaca hair is. You know, it's actually a little bit elliptical, but it's the surface area that was so much greater because the scale heights were lower, that you can get more oil on that piece or stick on. Same thing with your body chemistry, you're sweating. So you have a water droplet on a fiber in your socks, and it's gonna evaporate quicker because it's gonna be able to expand on it quicker and evaporates off. We think of it as more wicking. I think wicking comes with more of how we're knitting and getting that capillary action to work. But this is really, it's got one of the highest evaporation rates. So that's why you can wear your alpaca socks 5-6 days in a row and not have to wash them. I'll prove it to you. So. These are fresh. But it's true. Our industry gave a bunch of socks to the Desert Storm. So the guys in Desert Storm, they were complaining, they were getting foot rot because it was so darn hot there. They're constantly sweating in their boots. So we gave them natural fibered socks and all their feet were fine. So even though they're wet, it was still healthy and it was getting most of that perspiration away from your foot. So they weren't getting foot rot. So another great property of alpaca. I find that also matches with wool too, though. I think wool does a great job. It's not gonna evaporate it as quick, but I still think it does it better than a full synthetic product. Yep, and our industry did invest in a little time, and we have done some scientific studies showing basically non-bacterial growth on alpaca, where there's a lot of money in the textile industry put in to make things not grow bacteria on them. You know, and here ours does it, you know, naturally all on its own. It's also flame retardant. If you, like I have a big alpaca rug in my living room and fireplace, you know, of course you're gonna get embers coming out at night. Seen it, big old chunk like this big came on my rug, burned a nice, you know, patch, but it never lit. It just kind of smoldered. So they've got those tests too. You know, they thought, oh, why aren't you getting military, you know, influence, you know, for fabric for like on planes or something like that? That would be great, but it's a real limited raw natural resource. There just isn't enough of it. So that's also another unique thing about alpaca is that it's rare. It's a limited quantity. So I'm hoping now you understand, you know, some more properties of what makes alpaca so unique. You know, it's I live and breathe it every day, like you, probably most of you knit every day. You know, keeping your fingers busy. I'm sure you all can just watch a movie and make something and not even look down but twice. I've got many friends like that, like you. So do you have any other questions about alpaca that I might not have talked about that you've heard of? Mm-hmm.
Well, this is just like if you have a farm, what do you start off with so that you can make, or do you stagger the vines so that you have enough? You know what I mean? Enough.
Well, if you're interested in alpacas, you can have about 6 to 8 alpacas on an acre, you know, lot. You know, I suggest splitting that up into 2 half-acre pastures so you rotate them around. But, you know, getting a handful of alpacas are not hard to take care of. You know, I suggest a minimum of at least 3 because they're like other creatures in a pen. You know, if the 3 of us hung out all weekend, you know Mary's gonna be the queen. You know, that's just how it is. But, you know, when there's 3 of us, our levels are all a little bit closer in that power struggle. When there's just like 2, you know, look how far you're sitting apart. Yeah. Yes.
I learned some kind of test that you can no longer import alpacas from Peru.
You can't import alpacas, period. Yeah, that importation was closed, 2010, 9 or 10, something like that. Yeah, so all the alpacas that were just brought in the country for those 12, 13 years, that was it. And that's all that we have in our country to create our American alpaca. So there's probably estimated about 500,000 alpacas in the United States.
You mentioned tensile strength.
Yes.
So if you knit, you knit for guys, they
Mhm.
wear holes in the elbows,
Sure.
holes in their socks. Can you knit like socks with 100% alpaca with no nylon?
Well, I wouldn't, since I'm a sock designer, I don't believe it would just fall down. You need the nylon in there. Yeah, and especially like for me as a designer, I actually have an ability to plate the heel and toe because that's the number one areas on most socks, that wear out. So, but I'm dealing, with a manufacturer, in Peru that's been making socks for 70 years. So I think I believe I'm at one of the best sock makers in the world. And I get to go there and design and say, okay, I want to make this kind of sock. And so I get to cut up 3 socks and put them together. And there's a lot of engineering in the sock that I never guessed there would be. Otherwise, I probably would have just stuck with scarves. Yes.
If you're going to knit a pair of socks, what blend would you get rather than 100%?
Honestly, I think knitting a pair of socks would be, I think there's many other better things to use to make than a pair of socks. I buy the damn pair of socks. It's just too difficult. You'd have to really blend 50-50, really, to make it worthwhile. With any kind of like a synthetic with some nylon in it for durability.
25.
So you've done 75-25?
I do socks,
Do
and
socks?
so, yeah, because my nieces will say it's better to have a pair of socks from Aunt Kristen than a Starbucks gift card, because you can keep your feet warm. So if they want warm feet, they put on their Aunt Kristen socks. So I have found wools, 75% wool, 25% nylon, makes a good durability mix. 100% anything's not good for socks.
So the thing is, there aren't a lot of choices, rather, for percentages of alpaca out there. I don't even know, the alpaca yarn that you've seen in your stores, does it have maybe like 10%? Yeah, that's it. So it's not gonna probably do a lot of alpaca properties. They say you get 100% of the benefit of the natural fiber at 70%. So 50%, you're still getting a huge majority of it. So that's where I've done lots of my designing. I'm at like 50% because I can add all those other things like the elastic and the nylon for the durability of the item. And I still get a majority of the natural fiber property, which is great. So I wish I had a better place for you.
So if I'm spinning, I could spin the alpaca.
I would put 70-30 then.
70-30?
Yeah, try and get the maximum if you're doing that. Question?
What is the lifespan of an alpaca? So when you're thinking if you're
great
going to
question.
invest in this, in it's doing it, you're getting it where it's the first year you have to wait, and then you have to think about if you're only going to get how many pounds per year.
And you don't know if you're getting girls or boys.
Once you're in a year, right?
To expand your herd.
What is the average lifespan of an alpaca?
Well, I've had alpacas that have lasted up to 22 years of age. But I've also had some that I think naturally expired at 14. So they say on average around 18.
Okay.
So a good long time. It's not that you just have alpacas, for 5 or 6 years and they're done. They're around. Like parrots. Parrots are much longer.
You said that they were restricted. Who restricted them?
Hoof and mouth disease was an issue, that they restricted lots of animals that could possibly have hoof and mouth disease to come to the country.
So it was our country that restricted.
Yes,
Not
yeah.
who said
Oh, no, Prue would love to sell us some. They try to sell me some every time. Like, I'd love to, but they have to stay here. So, yeah, and also it was our National Alpaca Association that also closed registration on anything that would be coming in too. They felt they did basically a group asking, poll of, do you think there's enough alpacas in the United States at this point to further extend our bloodlines and our programs? And back then, they said yes. I personally would love to see it open again. So to see, I think it would help give a boost to that natural fiber market, and also a spur for those breeders that have been in it for a long time for grabbing some new bloodlines to go further with.
I think your breeding programs would have you notice, do you have contact with farms in the surrounding states? Have you noticed diminishing people selling off their animals?
Well, it's whether we're talking about fuzzy bunnies or alpacas or, a breed of dogs, I think there's always times where that's just a roller coaster no matter what. It's always up and down. I think right now in the alpaca industry, we're kind of on this, it's like a flat playing field. There are some people getting in and there's some people getting out. It's not a huge roar, but it's not, going down the toilet. I think it's just a stable where it's at, of what it is in its industry. It's its own little culture. I'm sure it's going to be around for quite a long time. I've been doing it for 25 years. So, yeah, I think it'll be around for the rest of my life easily.
Do most of the farms keep track of who they breed with whom?
Most do. I would say it's becoming more that if it's a hobbyist farm that they're not showing or they're not anticipating their alpacas to be really of high quality, they just want some animals around. Maybe they're maybe they just do petting zoos, or maybe they're just for a other bunch of animals that they have a whole bunch on the farm and they just like some alpacas. They aren't really concerned. They may not register them. So therefore, they're not going to be knowing who mom and dad was in the registration basis. So I found that more in the past 10 years that people are selecting which animals are going to be put into the registry base. That they might be ones that they want to sell in the future, and of course, registration helps with their pricing. Good, insightful question. So I was asked if I wanted to bring some things tonight. I said, well, sure I can. So I did bring, to my knowledge, it's the only alpaca bulky yarn out in America. This is something I designed. I have a heather gray and also a multicolor. And these, I said things that I bring, as a benefit to the group. I said, you'd have to, I can't charge anything more than wholesale cost. So, these are going to be for you. They retail $26 a skein, but they wholesale at 10 through me. So I brought like at least 10 packs. If I didn't know who would be interested or not, I thought I'll bring what I can. We can make a list. If you like more for a project, you can get more. So you're welcome to grab what I have here, and then we'll have a little sheet of paper on the side. You can put your name on and how many of each you'd like, and I'll get them to you. So these are the two colors. So one is it's a variegated black and gray, and then this one is a whole bunch of fun colors. So this is a bulkier yarn. So you can knit wholly with it, but I suggest sometimes just using it as an accent piece around your edges, around the sides, or in the middle, or several lines of it to pop out. I like to design things that pop out. So my higher end ladies, shawls and things like that are made with lots of boucle. So it really fills out in different areas, especially around the neckline or along a seam. That to me, I think that's my design eye. You might not like it, but you might as well. So I've got those that I'll have up here. I do have some bears. I just put in here. Those are here. So you can, those bears, maybe a couple of keychains. Oh my God. These keychains at State Fair, hundreds go. It's like, it affords our booth. So that, I've got bags, and you're welcome. You can grab things, you can put in the bag, and then you can come to me. I did bring my square reader, so I can take credit card. I have cash too. So if you're paying cash, it's just straight, you know, those are only 10. The bears and those are 20. Here's bags here. I do have some other, I just threw these just at the moment's notice. Because you're a natural group, these also have some boucle and also some thick and thin yarns. This helps a ladies group that I work with in Peru. There's 18 Quechua Indian ladies that hand loom these on a floor to ceiling loom. So these, yeah, they do lots of work. I love watching them, and I love their color patterns. I usually tell them just a scheme, like a scheme of colors that I like, and I just let them be creative. And it's been so rewarding, and especially because it helps them, because like Peruvian Indians are similar to our American Indians. They are susceptible to higher alcoholism, you know, in their culture, you know, and lots of times the man is the first one to go out and get a job, but then, you know, he's gone for the week and then he drinks a lot of it away before he gets home. So lots of times it's up to the women that really pull the family together and make businesses. So I've met several businesses that I work with directly. There are lots of people from Europe and that have come in and helped organize women's groups in Peru, you know, and I get a lead on those, and then I go to them and try and do some business with them. So these are just $45. It's a $90 scarf. So I brought a collection of those as well, if you like. And I think mostly I brought yarn. Oh, this, I didn't bring 3. There's only 10 of these made. This is from my own fiber from my past farm. White and black, all baby and royal grade. Fingerling thin, and put on a loom by a friend of mine in Kansas City. And if you've heard of her mill is Shepherd's Harvest. And she came up with this pattern. And I said, give me something classy. I said, I want it classic for men and women to wear. So this is all 100%, all from Alpaca farm right here in Wisconsin. These are $120, which is still
very reasonable
for that. It's still a wholesale price. So those are my things. I'll just throw stuff out here, and you're welcome to come up and grab a bag and put in whatever, and I'll give you your total. But any other quick questions? I appreciate your attention this whole time. I've had 2 people sleep only. Oh, the socks. They're down at the bottom. I'll have them up here. They're actually little anklet socks like yours. I found them to be really, it's one of my favorite socks throughout the summer. Miss?
How much are the keychains?
Oh, they're 20. The teddy bears and keychains in that basket, they're 20. So.
How many yards on the skein?
Oh, great question. I think it's 60. I know it's 60.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's even suggested needle size on here too. All right, any other quick questions? Well, thanks again for the time.
Thank you.
Happy to answer any other questions up here as you browse and enjoy your camaraderie amongst each other. I see lots of you working on projects.
Just a little something.
Oh, nice. Let's throw.